happiness is a choice, right? It's not an emotion. It's a thought. You wake up in the morning, you say, I'm happy. I don't wait to see what the weather is like. I don't even check the weather. I don't wait to see what I'm going to encounter at the office to determine whether or not it's going to be a good day. I've never had a bad day in my life, including the day that I died or the day that I lost my brothers. I've had some moments that have been a little questionable in life, right? But as far as I'm concerned, a day on this side of the grass is better than any other day on the other side, right? And here's the thing, I've got 86,400 seconds. I got 23,000 breaths, and I've got 115,000 heartbeats every day. I got a chance.
This is the Home Service Success Podcast, your resource for growing your HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and residential contracting business through mindset development, sales, and marketing strategy. Our guest today is one of the most sought-after sales, marketing, and success advisors to home service contractors. He is the president and founder of Odyssey, formerly HVAC Sellutions, and Energy Design Systems, developing leading-edge technology along with consultative support in sales, marketing, recruiting, education, and more. With over 40 years of experience, he knows what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar profit-generating home service business. He's a board member for EGIA and Black Belt Contracting. On top of all of that, he's got quite the personal story, and we're excited to share that with you today. So, allow me to introduce Drew Cameron. What's up, Drew?
Hey, Davis. How you doing? Thanks for the introduction.
Absolutely.
Dude, that's a pretty serious intro you got there, Drew. And I mean, I've known you for a while, and it's all true. But
thank you.
That's pretty impressive. You got a lot to be proud of about what you've done.
No, I appreciate it, Stephen, and thank you to you and Davis for having me. And I guess when you plug in 44 years into anything, right? You get some accolades along the way and some street credibility. So I've been very fortunate to be blessed by this industry and everybody in it and everybody attached to it. So.
Well, and I think that speaks true to how hard you worked as a young man and earlier in your career. And that's kind of what I want to get into today is like that, where did you find balance along this journey? And, obviously you're super involved in the industry, but what did that journey look like overall? Let's kind of just start from the big picture there.
I mean, it's a great question. Like I said, 44 years in this business. I'm 56, and so I started. I mean, I even started before that, but my official on the job was at age 12.
Wow.
Come home from swim team practice and jump on a company truck after swim team practice. And
well, now wait, I was a swimmer, and swim team, that's just a lot of work in its own right,
Yeah.
Swimming 3,000 yards a day, and then you're getting in the truck.
Yeah. So it was, and we were very competitive. And I did, won some awards there too and accolades there, but we'd jump on the truck and, be part of the family business. And I'd ride along with one of our installers and spend, the days and weekends. And of course, as our listeners know that, when you're in the family business, you do anything and everything whenever it takes, nights, weekends, holidays. And so we learned that work ethic early on in the Cameron family. But I was emptying trash cans in the company business before that and, cleaning the office. And back in the day when I guess you could actually smoke in a building, emptying ashtrays. I go way back and, I developed a work ethic. I wouldn't say I developed a balance, and that led to things later in life, obviously rearing their ugly head.
Indeed. Oh man. So when did you actually start? Let's see here. HVAC Sellutions. Like, what got you from working on the ground floor in the trades into being a consultant and a coach?
Well, having grown up in the trades and kind of working in every facet of the trades, in the office, in the warehouse, in the shop, sheet metal shop, doing, takeoffs on new construction and commercial blueprints, as well as doing, residential sales manager, marketing, general manager, every aspect of the contracting business. all the way up until the early 90s, that's what I did all the way through college. Graduated from the University of Maryland, got my degree there, and came into the business out of college in 1990, full time, with the idea that I was going to take on leadership and drive the business to the next level. And then the bottom fell out due to the economy and new construction drying up, and we were on the brink of bankruptcy. And we tried to right the ship for about 2 years, and we couldn't right the ship at all. It was sinking fast. But we decided to shift from a new construction company to become a replacement and home services business. And that's kind of, that journey started in 1990 on the brink of bankruptcy. I mean, and it was bad. I mean, the family dog died. My mom hit my dad with divorce papers. The union was picketing our jobs in our office. 2 builders went bankrupt and stuck us for $500,000 worth of receivables. And there was some creative accounting. It wasn't embezzlement, but the books were handled improperly on work in progress billing. So we had another $500,000 worth of accounting issues going on. So about $1 million worth of top line revenue was never going to materialize as cash flow in our business. And we had to kind of shift and become that replacement and service business and indoor air quality business that we did. And we went from basically, we were doing about $6 million worth of business at that point, roughly about 8% profit, to where we ended up by the time we sold it in 1996 to a local utility that was doing a consolidation in the region. About an $8 million business and 22% net profit. And so when we sold it, that's when I kind of jumped ship there, and I went to work for Service Experts, which was a publicly traded company. Did that for about 1.5 years after working for the utility that bought my company for 1.5 years. And then in 1999, I decided to kind of go out on my own, and I started HVAC Solutions at that point.
That's a story. That's a really difficult story, but I hear the story about entering, if you're a new construction business, just the struggle of that, versus getting into residential. So I think that's probably, people can probably relate to that, being like, going from this hustle of the new construction and then realizing the real scalable, sustainable business is serving the homeowner. So that's interesting.
The better margins, better cash flow in that business than the new construction, and in commercial as well. So that became the shift from 1992 through 96. We were only doing probably about $600,000 in replacement in 1992, and we shifted that into basically 6.5 million right in that run rate area in 4 years. And that was just the replacement side. Service became kind of in our mind at the time was the necessary evil. We needed the cash flow to turn things around and clean up some debt, because my dad, like I said, we were on the brink of bankruptcy because my dad signed personally everywhere, just to save the company. And but with a great team and a lot of education, we learned how to become business people versus being contractors.
How did you learn that? Like, who did you have a coach? Was there a best practice group? Because I'm trying to even think, a lot of the current best practices groups weren't in existence.
There was one that had started in 1990 called Contractor Success Group, known as CSG, and that was Jim Abrams and John Young. Their first go round before Airtime 500 started. And so we had joined that. We learned about marketing. We learned sales from a couple different coaches. Sandler Sales Institute was primarily the leading organization that we participated in. And so we learned that, and we learned to morph that, because Sandler, in my opinion, tends to be more B2B. And obviously we were becoming B2C. But my older brother and I, we learned that style, and then we learned to morph it so it worked at the kitchen table or in the living room. And we became very successful with it. And literally we went up against people in our market, and we would win jobs for $3,000 more because we bought into the mindset that we were $3,000 different, and we would basically make those differences be the differences that matter. And of course, my father had hired a couple different consultants in some areas, just kind of help us tweak our businesses. And I learned all of those things in addition to what I learned in school. and we applied, just good, sound business principles to the business. And we got away from, like I said, thinking like a contractor and really thinking like business people, and how to be a retailer, how to be a marketer, how to sell professionally and not coerce people, or, we stopped negotiating price. In fact, that became a thing in our business. If you discount price or negotiate price, you no longer work for the company. You don't even get a warning. It is a zero tolerance situation. And so we learned to own our value long before that ever became popular. And to this date, it's amazing how many contractors still out there are wheeling and dealing on price.
Go for it, Davis.
Well, ultimately, so
I saw something was coming up.
I did. So, okay, I'm glad that we're setting the stage here. But Drew, what I really want to do here is kind of get into the spiritual side of things that you discovered more recently. So we've set the stage in terms of like going through various challenges, having a lot of business discoveries, and there weren't a lot of resources out there at the time, and that just made you have to work that much harder. But where did that end you up in the middle of your life?
Yeah, no, great question. And developing that work ethic from a young age, and just that, that was my model of the world, right? Watching my father and my brothers and I and my sister and even my mom, and we were truly a family business, back in the day. That kind of set that work ethic in place and ingrained that into me. And that was a point of pride for me for the longest time. No one was going to outwork me, or outstudy me. And after about almost 20 years of doing that, I found that I literally worked myself to death. I was traveling nonstop. That travel stint of my life started in 1998 because of a non-compete situation. I had a 5-year, 5-state non-compete, and I was married at the time to a couple of young kids. And my now ex-wife, she didn't want to relocate, and so that meant jumping on planes to do what I love. And I think I take care of myself pretty well physically, as well as eating, but sleeping probably was not high on the list, and I told myself a story that I didn't need that, that I was going to out hustle and outwork anybody to help as many people as I possibly could and give back to this industry that has given me and my family, everything.
So let me ask really quick, was it a lack of sleep in terms of hours, or was it not good quality sleep, or maybe both that you're?
Probably a little bit of both, but more of the lack of the hours.
Okay.
I'd find myself staying up until 2:00 in the morning, sending emails or creating content or researching and studying, because I wasn't going to get outworked or outstudied either. And we were always, I was always deciding to reinvent what we were doing and how we were doing it. That's what kept my contractors on, my contractor clients on the leading edge. And then, basically 2 years ago, it was July 20th, 2 years ago, I was on vacation, first day of vacation with my son and his friend and my girlfriend, and I dropped dead of a heart attack. And I had so much stress, but I told myself I managed it, that I could handle this. That's not that big a deal. It's just what I do, right? And this is what type A personalities do, and that comes with the territory as a coach and so forth. And didn't realize that literally, like I said, I worked myself to death. That when the stress of the business was no longer there, and I literally went on vacation and was taking a break, that the mind and the body said, okay, we've now got an opening to reset the table here. And I think the heart and the soul said, all right, hey brain, you've been doing this your way for 54 years. Okay. And look where it's gotten us, right? I will kill you to save us. And I literally believe that's what happened. On that fateful day, I woke up, I wasn't feeling good. I'd had some stress with a client. Unfortunately, he was getting taken advantage of by somebody, and I was stressing for the client. And then I had a personal situation with my daughter who was traveling, and trying to deal with that while we were on vacation, and she was on vacation somewhere. And I woke up and just things were not feeling good that day, and decided to go to the hospital, but I never got the chance. I literally dropped in the hotel room after saying to my girlfriend that I wanted to go to the hospital.
So you
And
were on your way, you could kind of feel it coming, and then it's just like,
something was happening.
yeah, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Didn't know what was happening. And she just said, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" I said, "Yeah, we probably should." And she says, "It's first day vacation. It's probably nothing, a little anxiety or something like that, or maybe what you ate last night or whatever." I said, "Yeah, let's go get it checked out." Because it was my right side. It wasn't the left side. It was the right side. And it was just tightness in the chest. And so I dropped. She jumped, and she knew exactly what to do. She went right to work. She jumped on and started, chest compressions, and she knew not to breathe because unfortunately I had lost my brother the year before, my older brother, and I lost my younger brother 13 years prior to that. So unfortunately, Kim had an understanding as to what to do based on, prior history. And she pumped my heart for 20 minutes till the paramedics got there. And that's actually when my heart stopped. So I had the heart attack, which is just the lack of blood in the heart. The heart stopped, which is sudden cardiac arrest, when the paramedics got there. And so I got shocked twice in the hotel, twice in the ambulance, and once in the emergency room before they put me under and went in and found out that 50% of my heart was blocked. I had lower left coronary and right coronary arteries were 100% blocked. And so they went in, cleaned it out, put in 2 stents, and I basically 3.5 days later, God bless, I was out of the hospital and sitting on the beach in Myrtle Beach.
Oh my God. That is just an insane story. So were you clinically dead then for a period of time?
I mean, that's what they say when you flatline.
Yeah.
And 95% of people who have a heart attack, which is just your heart not getting blood, will recover. Only like 0.1% of the people who have sudden cardiac arrest recover. And it's like goes down to like 0.0001% survive multiple cardiac arrests. And that was my situation. So someone was looking out for me. Someone was looking out for me that day.
I was going to say,
you're meant to be here, my friend. You were not done on this planet yet.
Yeah. I honestly believe that. There was a moment people asked me, did I cross over? Did I have a spiritual awakening or, God or, something, and I can't say that I did. I've not gone through hypnosis and tried to recover any of that because I have a kind of a vivid recollection as to what happened. I woke up at one point, so I thought, and I saw a white light, and I was looking up, but it was not the white light that people think. It was literally the operating room, and I saw 2 people talking above me, and they were wearing masks and caps and gowns and all that, and one guy had glasses, and I could see them talking, but I couldn't hear them, and I wanted to speak, but I couldn't. I was like, I wanted to talk, and I couldn't get anything out, and I realized something was blocking my airway. So I was intubated. And so I went to take it off my face, and they saw me do it because I wanted to speak because they thought I was dead. And I'm like thinking, I'm still here. Hey, fight for me. I'm ready to fight. I'm here. And they just, it was the 2 doctors, and they told me, yeah, you tried to take your breathing tube out. We had to stop you. We had to put you under, but we had not begun the operation yet. And you kind of came to, you came conscious. And so we went in and cleaned things out, and everything was fine. And they were shocked that I remembered all of that. But so I didn't have the crossover, but I had that. And so I did some introspection on that event. And I spoke to my leadership coach who I've been working with for a couple of years. And I said to him, he said just what Steven said, your time's not done. You're meant to do something. I think you need to look into what that is, and, kind of pay attention to the voice, the soul, the spirit versus the voice in the head. Right. And, the vagus nerve runs between the brain and the gut. And that's why they talk about your gut brain today being so important. For every signal the brain sends out to the body, okay, through the vagus nerve, 9 come back. And so your gut brain, your intuition is more insightful than your dinosaur brain that wants to talk you out of things, the fight or flight, brain wants to do. And so that's why I said to you a little bit earlier, is that I honestly believe it was a fight for my life between my soul and my brain, saying, listen, we're going to get into the heart, we're going to get into the soul of matters, and we're not going to live from the brain primarily anymore. And that became a kind of an awakening, for me, is that when you literally work yourself to death, well, I don't think you get to do that twice in a lifetime, right? So something's got to shift. And that became kind of the awakening on the spiritual journey.
Oh my gosh. So 3 days later, you're sitting on Myrtle Beach, just kind of like staring out. I mean, that's just got to be a moment of utter reflection and just like, okay, major changes are needed, and kind of like going through the last 20 years of your life, probably like, what was I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah. It's emotional to think about it, because obviously I had already lost two brothers. And, I believe there was a soul contract from, if you've seen the movie Soul by Disney, I think it's Disney Pixar, there's elements of that really resonate, that I picked this life, and I picked, how to show up in this life, and they picked how to show up in this life. But I believe they also picked, when they were going to leave as well. And I picked that with them. And so we had this family soul contract. I honestly believe it's why I'm with Kim, my girlfriend, to this day. It's how we came about, and our story came about. Anyway, we were sitting on the beach, and I was just blown away as to the fact that I was still here. And my business partner, Russ Horrocks, he got together with Kim, and he showed up, my first day out of the hospital, and just said, I had to see you. I couldn't let another day go by without driving down and just saying thank you for all you've ever done for me and the impact that you've made on my life and my family. And so, it was one of those moments where I was reflecting with my son and his friend and my girlfriend, but then Russ shows up, and we're having that conversation with him, and clients had reached out to both, he and I, because he had passed the word along to people that, what had happened. And so it was definitely a moment of reflection and just saying, how did I get here and what has to change? And that's something that's when you have 54 years of experiences in conditioning, that's a lot to undo, right? It wasn't all bad, right? I learned a lot of great things, met a lot of, great people, and did a lot of, fun and exciting things, and made, had a lot of success, made a lot of impact. But now, the impact is different. It's no longer just about business. It has to be about self. For me, as well as for everybody on my team that I work with, as well as every business I go into. I won't work with a company if I don't get to work with the people on a personal level.
Yeah. So we talk about habit building on this podcast a little bit. And I think that's probably where you're going with this, is like, now that you're coaching and consulting others, before they get to this point where they've been hustling for 20, 30 years and hit, a tragic, or maybe, in your case, it wasn't tragic, but it was just about, before they hit that point, it's like, how can we build habits, both personal and professional, that are going to be sustainable?
Yeah, exactly. It has to be sustainable. It has to be healthy. Hence the change in the name from HVAC Solutions to Flow Odyssey. Flow being peak performance, and Odyssey being, spiritual journey, right? And so we want to help the individuals as well as the corporation achieve Flow Odyssey, peak performance. And it's a journey, it's a process, because it has to be an evolution as well. And I'm glad that I'm a cautionary tale and not a tragedy, for the people that I get to work with. And I mean, I now, in the last several years of working with people, and I had begun a little bit of this evolution prior to the heart attack. So, I just kind of doubled down on it, because I met a gentleman that Steve and I both know. His name's, Dr. Steve Young. I met him at one of my best friends from college's wedding back in December of 18. And I was having a conversation with him about how my older brother had passed and my younger brother had passed. And he was kind of talking me, through this. And so he's become my wellness doctor. And instead of dealing with Western medicine, which is really a medicine pill pop, sick-based model, this is all about, wellness and mindset and being healthy. And so our mantra now is, healthier businesses, happier lives. With the idea being is it starts at the top with ownership and leadership. You got to have a healthy relationship. You got to take care of yourself. You got to, sleep, eat right, exercise. And so I now go into businesses and I coach leadership on, and the people lightly. I don't go full on life coach onto these people, but I tell them, listen, the only way I can grow the capacity of you in your role is to grow your identity as a human being, right? So I had to grow the people in order to grow the role. If I grow the people, we'll grow the role, we'll grow the business. The old business model was hammer out on growing the role to grow the business, processes, procedures, things of that nature. And we had success. We had nowhere near the level of success now that we focus on the people side first. We always check in with the human first. When anything ever goes, wrong with anybody in the business, right? Performance is down for some reason. We check in with the human first. How's your life? What's going on at home? How's your health? Are you sleeping right? Are you eating right? We let them know that we care. We don't have a head count. We have a heart count at the businesses.
Dude, I love this stuff. And so I have a lot of questions, but first I'll state this. I'm a firm believer that, the inner world is where our world is created, right? What we think about, what we feel, what we're, emotionally connected with. If we're thinking about, gratitude and joy and success and things like that, that's what happens in the outer world. If we're thinking about fear and scarcity and lack and frustration and hate, that's what shows up in our outer world. And, Davis gets to hear it all the time. Everybody at WIT does. And, Drew, you and I have talked about it a ton, but I say it maybe just for people that are listening, because I can hear some of the comments like, I bet this resonates with some people. And I bet other people are like, dude, I'll work on that shit when like next year after I get a little bit more money. But that's why I like to say it this way. Like the outer world is a direct reflection. That's all it is. It's 100% a direct reflection of what's happening in our inner world. So if you don't like something in your outer world, meaning whatever it is, I don't care, your profit's not up, your business isn't running as smooth as you'd like it to, and you're having to work 70 hours a week, the only way, the best way, and really 99% the only way you can fix it is to work on the inner world, right? Because it's just a direct reflection. And so I think this is such an important conversation. I just want to make sure people are actually listening because, Drew, I'm sure you've at some point in your life, I know Davis at some point in his life has, and I know I have too, said like, okay, I get that stuff and I know it's important, but I got shit to do here right now. I'll deal with that tomorrow. And so your story is impactful because people get to see that, you might not always get tomorrow. I mean, you're young, right? I mean, it's not like you're 85 or 90 years old and you're starting to, have health problems. Like you're young and this came relatively out of the blue, right? I mean, how many contractors do we know that are doing exactly what you were doing? They're like, yeah, like, dude, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Like, I don't need sleep. Like it's imperative that people pay attention to this right now. And personally, I think that the industry is poised for it. Like personal development came into the industry, 15, 20 years ago, but it was kind of like a rah personal development, which is still good, right? It still opens the door. And now I think that we're, the home service industry is seeing so much money. All these contractors, like they're crushing their biggest goals that they ever thought they could have. And if they're honest with themselves, when they go to bed at night, there's something tugging at them. Like they're still not happy, right? Like they checked every single box, this profit margin, this amount of revenue, this size company. They're like, dude, I literally accomplished everything, but they're still stressed, right? They're still unhappy. They're still missing something. And this stuff that we're talking about, that is this. Like, this leads to fulfillment and happiness and massively more of the other things that we think are good, like the money and the profit and stuff like that. Like that comes tenfold when you work on this type of stuff.
Exactly. It's literally working smart and not hard, as they say, right? But we're, all the cliches are out there from every business book, right? Working on the business versus working in the business and all of that stuff. Those are just platitudes though. If it doesn't start right here with you though, and you don't take care of yourself, I mean, I see the people on Facebook and they post their stories and are in these groups and they have the cars and they have houses and they're going on vacations and they got all this stuff and, shoes, clothes, jewelry, whatever it is that they've got. Right. And it's let me show you what I've done and what I've accomplished. Right. And, revenue, they've got this, giant revenue, but are they profitable? Are they making 15 to 20% net profit? You come to find out that the average contractor makes 2 to 4% net profit. Again, they can get bigger. 2 to 4% of a bigger number is more, but if you're not making 15 to 20%, you're not getting the juice for the squeeze. So it's hysterical hyperactivity, but you're not really truly getting results. You got a lot of stuff in your life too, but if you go look at the health of some of these people or the quality of their relationships, a lot of them don't eat right. They don't sleep right. They're overweight. They might be diabetic, pre-diabetic. I mean, we just lost a good friend from Colorado Springs a few weeks ago. Pre-diabetic, asthma, not in the greatest health, working his butt off. And, at 50, I think he was 55, 56 years old, he passed away. Another gentleman I just saw passed away at 54 years old. And somebody I met at the Tony Robbins event and, just not taking care of themselves. And so, yes, if we take care of this first, we can do everything because this is the foundation for everything. You got to get the mind right. You get the body right. You get the soul right. You get your relationship with your significant other right. Okay. Your relationship with your kids right. And that doesn't mean buying them things and taking them places. It means actually being present and being there for them and helping your significant other, see that they that you love them and that you care for them and that you're there for them. It's not what you've accomplished and the things that you can do for them. At the end of the day, if you ask anybody, they'd rather have the relationship than the things. I mean, that's what they bought into.
A lot of times, unfortunately, you have to get the person that's 85 years old to tell you that, right? At 55 or 60, especially 40. And I mean, hell, anything under 30, you're a whole different level if you can see that. But unfortunately, you have to look out that far in a lot of cases. So, I mean, how do you start helping people do this work? And how do you address things like, let's assume some of the people listening to this are like, okay, yeah, like I get it that that's important, but like, dude, now you want me to add in physical fitness and you want me to add in dieting and you want me to, meditate for an hour a day and you want me to journal and then you want me to do date night twice a week with my wife or my husband. And then you want me to like hang out with the kids. Like, holy shit, like, dude, I'm already dying as it is, just trying to make ends meet. Like, what do you say to people like that? That I think there's got to be a crack, right? There has to be some initial, like, yeah, I hear what you're saying and it resonates, but I have no clue. Somebody that this doesn't resonate with, they're not ready to make that move yet. But for that person that's like, okay, I got it. You have my attention. I know I need to do something, but like, come on, where do you even start on something like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, again, it doesn't all happen all at once. I mean, let's put it this way. I always like to say, you didn't get into this shit overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. Right. And so it's going to take some time. And here all we have to do is don't beat yourself up. Don't blame or complain or explain, that's just because that all leads to guilt and shame. Right. It's just ownership. Take ownership of it. So I took ownership of 54 years of, that got me to my deathbed basically and said, okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It is what it is. It happened. It was based off of what I knew in my model of the world. I said, okay, I'm changing the model of my world. What can I do? What's one thing I can do? Right. And then what's another thing I can do? And then you start to ask better questions. What's the most extraordinary thing I can do? Right. And so you got to get one win. And that's the way I look at it. Everybody will always ask the one question. Well, what can I do? I don't know. Well, that's this brain saying, playing small. So you ask other questions that, like I said, will take you to a better answer. So I think the problem is smart people think they need to have all the answers, or need to have all the answers. And geniuses ask better questions and more of them. And so I like to think of myself as a genius. I don't have all the answers. I realize how much there is yet for me to know, but I'm going to find the people that have the answers or are living the life, the way I want to live. And then I'm going to model that. And so I did something as simple as just, okay, let's start exercising a little bit. Right. And, and now I do 200 push-ups every day in addition to anything else I do. Okay. And that actually started at 80 push-ups and has morphed up to 200. And I could push that to even more, but I do other workouts as part of my day. I shouldn't even say workouts. It's just movement. I actually don't break and go to the gym. I get movement and I can drop and do, 50 push-ups at any given moment, do 50 squats, 50 crunches, lunges, any given point in time throughout my day. It doesn't have to be all concentrated like go to the gym. That's the mistake that we make. Here's the thing. How often in your life does your body ever move like you move at the gym? Never. You're constantly going cross body and angling things and stretching and grabbing things. It's never this, right? But that's what we think we need to do. We need to jump on a treadmill. Okay, well, how probable is that in your life? You'd be better off going out for a long walk. Like I did this week, I just got home from the beach. So we went and we were walking along the boardwalks, and we went for a little bit of run. Then we walked and we ran for a little bit of a run. We played on the beach a little bit. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it, Stephen. If you can just make life play, you'd be and see play as productive. The problem in our industry is we don't look as play as productive. We look at people will say, you gotta work hard, you gotta play hard. Okay, well, that's not really a great, it's a bumper sticker. I don't know if it's a great life model.
Because then everything you do is hard. Even your play is hard, right? You're like, oh man, I got to fit in 4 hours of off-roading and I got to go 70 miles an hour in my new Can-Am and get it filthy with mud and cover the most trails so that I like fit it all in, right? Your play actually, for the most part, became work and it became hard.
Yeah, I mean, vacation was not, people go on vacation, right? And then they stress themselves out on vacation with getting to go see the sites or go to the park and get the tickets. And I gotta do all these things while I'm on vacation, right? No, I went and parked it on a beach or at the pool, right? And what are we doing for dinner? I mean, that was another thing. I shifted the way I eat. I basically eat one meal a day now. And that's what works for me. And you have to find what works for you. And I think that's the biggest thing is change the way you look at the world. That's really kind of what you talked about is change the way you see things. Just because this is the way I see it, guess what? I created this movie. If I don't like how it's playing out, I am the writer, the producer, the director, and the lead actor. I can change it all just like that. And that's what I decided to do. And basically in 2 years now, it's been just 2 years, just over 2 years, my life has completely shifted. I mean, the relationship, unfortunately, because I worked myself to death years ago, the marriage ended, but I still have two great kids. I've now been with Kim for 7 years and we have a wonderful life together and continuing to build that and explore what that could be. And we just have fun in the moment. And that's the key is I chose to be in the moments, right? You don't see me post a whole bunch of stuff on social media, if anything. It might be work stuff that I post, if anything at all, right? But I'm living the life. I don't need to show other people my life. I mean, they'd be there with me if they were that important, right? It's not to say you guys aren't important, but it's like, you know what? I just don't live my life out there. I don't need to broadcast it, right? Because I'm in the moment. I don't look at me. You look at your own life. How about you look at your own relationship? Don't show me what you're eating. Just make sure it's healthy. That's the way I look at it. And so I think it's unfortunately this Me Too society of let me see, let me show you too what I'm doing and what I've got, what I've accomplished. This comparison lifestyle that people are living, I think has just led to a lot of misery. And lack. And no matter how much you think you're getting ahead, somebody's always got more money, a bigger house, nicer cars, something, right? If that's how you measure your success, then like you said earlier, I think success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I'm very fulfilled now in my and how I feel about myself, my health, my relationships, because not any of that was good prior. Told myself a story that it was, or like you said, eventually I'll do this when.
One of my takeaways I'm gathering here is kind of revive the child, right? That childhood curiosity around the Drew, your idea of genius and asking bigger questions, different questions, the childhood element of play more, live in the moment. You know, we get so jaded and just so run down by society and expectations and self-judgment and judging others. And what did he post on social media? What am I going to post on social? It's like none of that actually matters at the end of the day.
No, there's a lot of good education out there on social media. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it, or shaming anybody for it, but I think unfortunately too many people live their lives, based on it and want to show the world everything that they're doing. And they tell themselves a story around it too. And again, not guilting or shaming anybody for their life choices. There's no right or wrong or good or bad. It just is what it is. And you have to decide what works for you in your life.
And what makes you happy. Yeah, I think
that's the key. Happiness, health and happiness are everything. If you've got that, you can do anything, and you'll be better at it. If you you'd be surprised how much more productive you get the less you do. And I know that's kind of, an oxymoron, but you get more productive the less that you do. I mean, let's put it this way. No matter how many hours our listeners tell themselves and tell others that they work every day, they only have 4 to 6 hours of productivity. So you could be 12 hours from the time you got to the office until you left the office at night and then went home and worked on stuff too. But the true level of productivity during the day was no more than 4 to 6 hours. So the key is to find out what gets you into flow state, which is into productivity, and then optimize that. And then that is really what you focus on. And then all this other stuff is like, you got plenty of time for a workout. Okay. You got plenty of time to make a healthy food choice. You got plenty of time to get good sleep. You got plenty of time to go date night or, get to your kids' sporting events or recitals or whatever it is that you're missing in life. Right. And yes, you can build a very, very successful business.
Yeah. I love, you mentioned basically presence, right? And Davis mentioned something that made me think of this kind of analogy, but the present moment is really all we have, right? We can't impact the past and we can't live the future yet. We can only really impact this current moment. And so what happens is that most of us, and I used to be extremely guilty of this when building like my first probably 2 companies, but we spend most of our day thinking about what happened in the past that we can't change, right? We replay scenarios, oh man, that meeting, I should have said this, I should have said that. Like, I can't believe that person did this to me, whatever. And we replay all those scenarios over and over, and there's nothing we can do about them. Or we're thinking about the future. We're thinking about what could go right, what could go wrong. Most of the time it's what could go wrong. Thinking about how we're never going to hit that goal that we put out there. So we're already starting to emotionally have the reaction as if that thing that we're fearful of has happened. So we spend a huge majority of our day living in a past or in a future. And as you are more than well aware of, like, if you play a scenario in your mind, you're going to actually experience it emotionally just as if you would if it was happening. So if you have a coworker that you're frustrated with and you're driving to the office and you're like, I'm going to have a fucking conversation with this guy and I'm going to ream him and I can't believe he did this to me. Well, you're in the same emotional state as if that conversation's actually happening. And, Drew, to what some of the stuff that happened to you, you're living in that state of stress all the time. And it's not even real. You're sitting in your car. So one of the biggest things that, like, the biggest skills I wish I would have learned this a long time ago, and I wish it was something that we could teach, is awareness, right? If we can start to be more aware of what is it that we're thinking about and how are we feeling, and is that in alignment with what we want, right? Like, I'm feeling frustrated and angry and annoyed and scarcity and fear, but yet I keep saying all I want to feel is fun, fulfillment, freedom. and I'm never actually feeling it. So if we're expecting a situation to give us fulfillment, we're never going to get it. We have to find fulfillment in the situation, in whatever situation we're in right now. So even if your business is whatever, a quarter of the size that you want it to be, and you don't have enough people, how are you still going to walk into your all company meeting in 5 minutes? Are you going to show up and allow that meeting to be fulfilling and happy and exciting to you? And you're going to give them your all, and you're going to show up from a place of gratitude and excitement? Or are you going to show up as that future self of unknown fear and scarcity and all constricted and stressed and all of that? Like, find a way to find fulfillment in each moment. If you want more gratitude in your life or more fun, find a way right now to make whatever the hell it is you're about to walk into fun. Make that meeting more fun. Make that conversation more fun. Be grateful for the stuff that you do have. Don't start feeling about all the stuff you don't have that's in some non-existent future moment yet. So I think about that all the time. Like, find fulfillment in what you have now. And then what'll happen once you fix the inner world, the outer world is just a reflection of it. You want to figure out a way how to make a hell of a lot more money real quick, fix the inner game, and then that reflection externally will come back tenfold.
100%. I mean, you're spot on with everything that you said. I mean, time is a concept created by man, right? I mean, so it's a construct of man. Time doesn't exist. We are a gaseous ball hurtling through space. When people talk about time and climate change and everything that's going on, it's like, I mean, don't you think some crazy stuff's going to happen? We're just hurtling through space. And so if you think of time as linear, then I think that's part of the problem. Time, and I learned this concept through a book I listened to called Conversations with God. And it's not what you think it is. It's a really compelling read. But time is vertical, and every moment exists at every moment. And you see this portrayed in certain movies. You see it portrayed in the MCU with the Marvel Comics universe and the Avengers whole series that we just saw, right? That they can get to different points in time. Loki, the television series that was just on Disney Plus. Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey was another one where you can access different points of time at any given moment in time. And so you might think that's a little woo-woo, a little out there, right? But I know you've done some research on this, Stephen. And when you start to think about it that way, it's like now things actually make more sense, right? That isn't woo-woo, because again, if I apply it to how things have shown up in my life, now I understand, how I can manipulate them. That's why when I go into people's businesses, we don't have a vision statement that says to be blank, 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 right? It is, we are this. Because if we state this is who we are, even though we may not be a $10 million business yet, if we state that we are a $10 million business, we'll act like a $10 million business. We'll do things that $10 million businesses do. We'll behave a certain way. We'll treat people a certain way. Happiness is a choice, right? It's not an emotion. It's a thought. You wake up in the morning, you say, I'm happy. I don't wait to see what the weather is like. I don't even check the weather. I don't wait to see what I'm going to encounter at the office to determine whether or not it's going to be a good day. I've never had a bad day in my life, including the day that I died or the day that I lost my brothers. I've had some moments that have been a little questionable in life, right? But as far as I'm concerned, a day on this side of the grass is better than any other day on the other side, right? And here's the thing, I've got 86,400 seconds. I got 23,000 breaths. And I've got 115,000 heartbeats every day. I got a chance.
Right.
There's a lot of people who didn't get up this morning. Right. And so, like you said, how about be grateful for your heart? How often do you just put your hands on your heart and just say, thank you? Thank you. Right. We don't do it. And, our friend, Dr. Steve, has taught me to do that. Breathe into your heart. Be meditative. And meditation isn't this woo-woo thing that you have to sit down in 20 minutes and kind of, music, all funky things and sounds and stuff like that. I can just sit here and think and breathe for 3 minutes. And it is like a power nap for an hour. So,
well, I think so. One, like I was just sitting here looking at the time. These conversations with you especially always go by really quick. I thought we were like 15 minutes in. I didn't realize we're like at the very end, but I think that's actually a perfect place to wrap this, because what you gave is so important. Just take a couple moments a day to like feel into your heart, feel grateful, find something to be grateful for. Like it may seem silly, but I know we know based on experience, it will, that something as small as that will change your life. It'll change your life.
Yeah. And you can take that over to the contracting world too, right? You can just say, I got a service call today. I have a lead today. How about just be grateful that you actually have an opportunity? Okay. You're all looking for revenue, but how about you just be grateful, you know, another human being asked you to come out and have a conversation with them and give them information so they can make a decision that will change their life. That's all you get. How about be grateful for the opportunity? It may turn into revenue, it may not, but you have an opportunity to impact this person's life. So how about just be grateful for that? And when I start to help people see that, and they just, you know, they lose their attachment to the outcome. That's the reason most people are not happy. They are attached to pre-attached to predetermined outcomes that they want to have happen. Instead of just basically saying, you know what, be happy with the journey, be happy with the process, be happy with the opportunity. You know, John Wooden, I'll leave you with this thought. John Wooden, famous UCLA basketball coach of the 70s, won 10 NCAA titles at one point, 7 in a row. Unprecedented, 83% winning percentage. Never coached the word win or winning, not in practice, not in pregame, not at halftime. He said the results will be what they should be, when they should be, based on how we execute. And I'm going to take the emotional ups and downs of winning and losing out of the game. So we're not going to focus on that. We're going to execute and be the highest versions of ourselves as human beings. I mean, he would literally start with teaching, you get into mindset stuff, but he would literally start with teaching the players how to put on socks. Because if you don't put your socks on right, you get blisters. If you get blisters, you can't practice. If you can't practice, you can't play. But we don't think about that. We don't think about taking care of the individual first. And we all need to start right here, right? Just like when the oxygen masks fall down from the plane, you got to put yours on first, or you're no good to anybody else next to you. So you're supposed to be a little selfish.
Yeah.
You know, most people wake up to their phone, right? They wake up to their phone and they're on their phone, they're in their phone, they're on social media, they're watching the news, they're with the dogs, they're with the kids, they're with their significant other, and they don't take time, you know, for themselves to get present and take care of themselves. 10, 15 minutes, like you said, Steve, that's all you need is to set the intention for the day.
All right, Drew. Well, thank you so much. This was incredibly inspiring. My gosh, I'm going to have to re-listen to this and give this just some more thought myself.
There might be a follow-up interview here.
Yeah, seriously. We got
now that we got my backstory out of the way, we can focus on the fun stuff.
Exactly. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. I want to point our audience, if you want to learn more about Drew and what he's doing, working with consultants, check out flowodyssey.us or eds.tech, both of his businesses. And if you want to join the discussion for more home service marketing and success, join the Facebook group, Home Service Marketing and Success, or visit witdelivers.com. Thank you all so much for listening, and go out and implement some of this in your own lives. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening to the Home Service Success Podcast. Now, a message from our sponsor. If you're ready to take your contracting business to the next level, you have to attend EGIA Contractor University's annual EPIC 2021 event, the most highly anticipated educational event of the year for the home services industry. EPIC 2021 will take place October 28th and 29th at Paris, Las Vegas on the iconic Las Vegas Strip. Featuring celebrity keynote presenters like Damon John of Shark Tank, John Taffer of Bar Rescue, and Captain Sully Solenberger, airline pilot from the Miracle on the Hudson. There will be breakout sessions delivered by legendary industry experts, access to best-in-class product and service providers, dynamic networking opportunities, and an unforgettable evening party. You can even come hang out with me at Media Row as I record the Home Service Success Podcast live. You can get $50 off registration with my code SUCCESS at epic2021event.com. That's coupon code SUCCESS at epic2021event.com. You won't want to miss it.